What is going on, traders? Good morning, happy Friday. I'm going to quickly get started with the watch list here. I have my eye on JE. I like how the chart's shaping up for a long. It's a bigger float, so if it does trigger, I might trade it small just because they're slow movers and I don't like sub-dollar stocks. I repeat that time and time again, but this one doesn't look bad. I like how it's pulling back here. Doing so is going to allow it to test some of these support areas that I have drawn. Ideally, I'd like it to kind of dip back here to 55 cents, pop back up above like 0.575-ish area to hold, and then a break of 0.60. So that'd be like a nice tight 2.5 cent risk trade, which would be sweet. So I'm gonna watch for that. That's probably my top watch at the moment. I was watching NSYS earlier. I actually took a scalp through this, on this a bit ago. I actually ended the trade red though, but I took it through $7. Where was it? Somewhere. It was after this 5-minute candle. I saw this 575-ish area hold as support here. So I wanted to take a little break of 7 for like a 25-cent risk, hoping it'd squeeze a little higher. There was one thing I didn't like, a couple things actually I didn't like about it, which was the extension on these bigger time frames. So I had a feeling if it did trigger, it'd be a weak move because of those bigger extensions. So I treated it as a scalp. Unfortunately, I learned a hard lesson because I know I don't like trading pre-market, but I did it anyway, and I totally forgot my hotkeys don't work as they should in pre-market with certain order types. So I caught a little bit of slippage on this actually, which sucks. But I bought it somewhere in here. I think it was this break. Let me delete these oval drawings real quick. So I bought it right here, and I got one target right up here, believe it or not. And then I tried to cut a third of my position under the 690 level here, but my order didn't fill. I just, pre-market's tricky because it's so illiquid, so unfortunately I took a little bit of slippage there, and then I cut the rest of the position with even more slippage here. So took a bigger loss than I wanted to on that one, but since it was a kind of a shady setup to begin with, I traded it like 1/4 of my max risk, so the loss is small compared to my average gain, so I'm not even too worried about it. I'm glad that I'm at a level with my trading where I can recognize the quality of a setup and I can size accordingly to that, and that just comes with time and experience. But anyway, I'm going to keep, actually, I was interested in shorting actually this break of 675 where I was stopping out of my long, but the price of borrows on my broker were ridiculous, so I didn't feel like it was worth it to pay that amount, so I skipped the short on it, unfortunately, because I could have recouped all my loss and some on that nice short trade there. And this thing still has room to fade off to the 570s, so I'm going to keep it on watch after the bell, see if it can bounce around, maybe try to reclaim VWAP. If anything, it might trigger along through that same $7 area I was watching earlier, but like I said, it would need to kind of pop way up and chop around before doing that. So I'm going to keep it on watch for that. I'm going to set an alert at 675 to see if it could, I'm not even really going to pay attention to it until that alert goes off, if anything. I don't think it, I mean, like I said, it could still fade off here, but on the 15-minute chart, there's no setup for me, so I can't jump in short right now. I feel like it'd be a chase, so we'll keep it up and see kind of what it does. GEVO's popping up, but as you can see, I have these previously drawn lines on it from $2, actually from like 160 to 2, so I'm not really interested in it at all until it can kind of get back in those ranges. It might squeeze and try to test those areas today. In that case, it'd be super extended and worth looking at for a short. But as far as a long goes, might be out of the question for me today, just because it would need to kind of pop way up, you know, chop around in these areas, and then I'd be looking at a multi-day flag on it. So kind of from the highs here, like there, if you will. This is why I wish I could draw on this platform for you guys, but I need it to like pop up and consolidate in here and flag out through 2. So for a long today, it seems out of the question, but who knows? You never know. But if anything, I'd watch for it to test up in here and set up a short, and keep the long on watch for next week. MDGS. This one looks okay if it could, for a long, if it could reclaim VWAP. It's struggling here a bit. The candlesticks also look pretty algorithm driven. Maybe if it could break 175 and get above 170 for support, that could be something. I'll keep it up. I'm not sure how I feel about it. For a short, the context sucks. For a long, it has to get back above 170 for me. IBIO is another one I was looking at earlier that looks okay. I have an alert at 260 on it, which I think is actually too high now that I look at it. I want to reset this alert for 255 because ultimately I'd like to long this chart. It's higher float, so I'll be trading it smaller if anything. Has a lot of upper head resistance on the bigger time frames, so I'm not sure if any move that it makes could be significant. But I do like the pattern in pre-market here. It needs to reclaim 250 to start. And honestly, I'm kind of torn between the trigger on this. It could either be a 255 break long, risk 250, but I think the better trade looks like 260 break, risk 255. So I'll keep my eyes on both of those. But yeah, I'll have to assess it better once it starts reclaiming VWAP. Until then, I'm not really interested in it at all. XPEV is too expensive for me, for my style, my system. But if you're interested in trading it, it's kind of tricky for a long here. Let's see. Yeah, this one's tough. It's underneath the 5-minute chart here, struggling with this resistance, so I don't want to cover this one, guys. It's too expensive, out of my wheelhouse. I'm not really sure, so I'm just going to skip over that one. Sorry about that. TRCH, low volume. The volume actually looks okay on the here. It says it's doing 2.7 million in pre-market, but the candlesticks don't look the same. It doesn't look like it's doing much volume, which is weird. A 38-cent reclaim for support looks okay. For a 40-cent break, flag long. I can't mark this level here. 38 cents with a 40-cent break right here. I think 2-cent risk if it could do that. It's got some work to do. It's got to pop up above VWAP and consolidate out. But the fact that it's touching these time frames here is good. It's showing support. Has a little bit more extension on the hourly chart, but I'm not really too concerned about that in pre-market early opening bell time frame. If that makes sense. So yeah, but the volume looks weak. These candlesticks are like non-existent. So it's not really the best. TRVN looks good if it could bounce off this 175-ish area and hold. It needs to reclaim VWAP, of course, for a long. Candlesticks look algorithm driven, so something to be mindful of. Float is big, so it's kind of out of my wheelhouse. I'm not really too in love with this one, guys. I might just pass on this, but maybe if it reclaims 185 to confirm support and breaks through 190, you can get a 5-cent risk trade there. But yeah, I'm gonna peek back at JE real quick. So yeah, it's not doing what I hoped it would. Once it tested 55 here, I was hoping it'd reclaim up back here above 0.57-ish and then breaks 0.60 for that long, but it looks like it's weakening down. So I'm going to actually put an alert on this one too, because I still really like the trade thesis, but I don't want to pay much attention to it until it does what I need it to do. So I'll set price alert. And then where were we? Let's continue on. We got 4 minutes till the bell here. ULTA, too expensive for my style. VNE, too low volume. And TNX is a little too expensive too. Looks super weak. It's already broke through the hourly chart here, so it might see some more downside to maybe 2368-ish. But it's not a trade I will take short, or I don't. It's just not my wheelhouse. It's huge float and too pricey. And ODT is kind of weak looking too. TRCH, I think we covered. PEIX was another one I was watching. I have an alert at 475 on this. I still like this for a potential long, but I don't think it's going to be for today. It might be for next week. If it could reclaim 450-ish at least. It has some work to do, guys, but I'd be looking at something like this, like flag long like this or something. Like maybe a reclaim of 450, then a break of 475 for like a 25% risk trade. But like I said, that's like for next week. It looks like it's still needs to grind up. It's doing low volume in pre-market right now too. HIBB is low volume, Surf is low volume, and now we're getting into charts that are only up like 7% on the day, so not really my ideal. I prefer them to be up at least 10%, so these are kind of back burner watches. VVPR, I had this one up. I actually kind of like this one for like a bigger time frame flag, if you will, multi-day. But I don't think it's ready to go yet. Let's see. It almost needs to pull back and confirm some of these areas. I feel like just too much of a chase if it breaks 520 now. And you can see it just attempted a little bit ago and just totally like failed. So I like that one. It's low volume right now. It might need a couple more days to set up. Who knows? And that's pretty much it, guys. So my biggest watch is that JE, which I don't think is going to do what I need it to do, unfortunately. It looks super weak now. I wanted it to hold above this level, but I set the alert. And NSYS, which for a long has a lot of work to do at this point. But if it bounces off this 470 area and starts kind of reclaiming some of these levels, then a potential long could be a possibility. Oh shit, I just realized I left my watch list thing on. Sorry guys. That's my bad. You probably couldn't see a thing I was doing. I'm sorry about that. At least, hopefully you at least caught some of the commentary on that stuff. I'll be more mindful of that moving forward. Usually, I don't think I made that mistake before. But alright guys, we have 1 minute till the bell. If you have any chart real quick you want me to look at, throw it in the YouTube chat. I'll stick around for another minute or so. And then trade safe today. It's Friday. Don't rush anything. Market's been pretty chop fast action for a while actually, the last 3 weeks or so. But there's some opportunity, of course, out there every single day. But it's not really my favorite market. I know what I like to see, and lately I am not seeing it. So I'm still being patient. I'm going to keep a close eye on JE though through the bell, guys. 19 seconds till the bell rings. Thank you for tuning in, guys. I'm going to cut the stream here. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you like my content. I go live every single morning to go over the pre-market gappers like this. Bell's going to ring in 5 seconds. Trade safe, and peace out.